Well, welcome back to this lecture. Well, in this section, I'm going to be explaining how to hide this user list. Remember, when we reboot our system, we discovered that our system lists all the users on the system. So I'm going to explain how to hide all of these, okay, and only give you login, username and password screen, which is the basic thing we want to do. So we are going to be hiding user list in login screen. There are a few things we do to actually achieve this. Also, most people have been unsuccessful in carrying out this operation. So in the previous version of Ubuntu, this operation was very easy to do, but in this current version from 17, it's been a bit of a challenge for some of us to do. So let's see how this works. So wait for our system to log us into our user section. It's coming in. That's one of the reasons I hate screensaver. I've noticed it makes system run a bit slow than usual. Okay, well, this is our screen. So to start, I'm going to launch a terminal. Of course, by now we know that launching terminal is easy. Just right click on your desktop and then you launch terminal. Now just follow the procedure. Now the GNOME login screen, it normally shows a list of all available users to log in as. However, in this lecture, like I said previously, we're going to disable or hide users from the login screen so that every user can type in their username and their password. This operation can only be carried out by an admin user. That was why I logged in as Sam Ojo, who I know is an admin user. So I'm going to enter sudo iteratively, sudo I. Okay, so I just move straight into root user. Now the first thing I will do, I'll allow UDM to make connections to the X server. X server is actually the like our user interface, like our desktop. So X host, and the reason I'm doing this, I move into iterative. That is, I want to type all my command without typing sudo. Is just to use I and switch straight to an iterative user, which means every operation I perform thereafter will be done without having to type sudo at all time. So GDM. So let's see, it's being added to the control list, and I think that is good. Now the next thing I will do after allowing GDM to make connection to the X server is to switch to user GDM, which is actually required to run the G settings to configure the GDM settings. So I'm going to do su GDM -x. I'm moving into the bin bash, not dot bash, bin bash. Okay, now I have moved. Finally, to hide the user list from login screen, we simply type G settings, space set. Now this command is just like this: gnome dot login dash screen login dash screen space disable dash user dash list space true. So all goes well, it should just not report any error. So it did not report any error. So what I could do here is to simply restart my system. And of course, later on, if this works out, which I'm hoping it will, you simply automatically disable this by coming back to this operation and typing false in place of true. So like I said, I'm going to simply sudo, or let me just exit out of here and instead of just a reboot, because I'm already a root user. When I hit reboot in this case, automatically the system should reboot for me without asking me for password. When you type any command as a root user, you don't need to put sudo, just type reboot instantly. It will kill all open processes. First, kill all open processes, and then second, terminate all open positions. That is, every user's operation will be terminated, and then the system will just go down for a reboot. So let's wait for the system to reboot to the desktop, and then we'll continue from there. I am leaving my screen all the time so that I want every single one of you to see what happens behind the scenes. So I don't want to pause and just show you a success message. I want you to see the struggle so that you can avoid some of the potholes, so that you can learn and also have the deeper understanding of what happens even while you are watching this video. And also encourage you, like I've stressed from the beginning of this training tutorial, that you should create time to practice this. As a matter of fact, as you are watching this, I have made this training interactive enough such that you can be typing in what I type. Pause the video if you have to, stop the video, rewind if you have to, but in all, ensure that you are practicing what you are learning. And the best way to learn is actually to follow through step by step as it is being carried out here. Okay, so our Ubuntu is starting up. We're expecting it to simply come to desktop without showing us the user list like we used to have. This way we are only going to be asked to type our username and also to type our password. So every user will remember their username and their password. They type it in and log in as if they are logging into their email. Okay, it's coming up. So I've said this before, you can always send in your question in a message. We try to respond to your message within the first 5 hours or within the first 24 hours. This is what I was talking about. Now we have successfully hide all the user lists. Now you just type your username, Sam Ojo, enter, and then your password, enter, and that is it. This is basically the procedure for hiding all users from the screen. Now, I don't think Windows has this option, and if they do, maybe I will just explore and see if they do. I think if they do, you have to disable something or enable something, just like we did here. But in our own case, in Linux, I've always said you have the option to tweak and do a lot of things with Linux system. So I'm going to go through this process again. The first thing we do is to log into the system as an admin user, that is a user with sudo privilege enabled. In my own case, it was Sam Ojo. I could have used a sub admin if I want to, but I used Sam Ojo as a user. Then sudo space -i was another thing I typed to enter the iterative mode of the root user, meaning that every command I want to type from there on, I don't want to be presented with a password. Type your password or type a sudo again. So first, how was it first thing I do? The second thing was to allow the GDM make connections to the X server. We type X host space +si local user GDM. After that, we switch to user GDM, which is actually the only thing required to run the G settings to configure GDM settings. So what I did was to type su to switch. Remember, in this case, I'm switching from the root to GDM user. So I type su gdm-s space /bin /bash, and finally I type my G settings command to hide the user list from login screen. The command again is G settings space set space org.gnome gnome.login-screen space disable-user-list space true. Enter and restart the system. Once this is done, you will not be presented with user list again when you come back to the system. That is basically what disabling user list from the login screen entails. And I hope this lecture has been informative for you. Again, if you have any question, please ensure you drop in the question and I will attend to them. Thank you. I will see you in the next tutorial.